Nia Sioux, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I was so excited to do this because I'll candidly say I religiously watch Dance Moms.
Thanks.
I used to do dance competition.
Okay.
Not nearly at the level.
But you grew up dancing.
But I grew up dancing.
Yeah. Okay.
So Dance Moms always had a really special place in my heart.
Of course.
And then when you put the book out and I saw that it was publishing, I was like, I'm just so excited to hopefully interview Nia Sioux. So thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
So I suspect that a lot of our listeners may have never seen Dance Moms, might not know who you are at all.
Right.
So I just want to set the stage for everyone so everyone's on the same page.
Absolutely.
So Dance Moms was basically a show that's centered around a very interesting dance instructor.
Yes.
6 competitive dancers.
Yeah.
And 4 Midwestern moms in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Give us a little bit more, paint the picture of what Dance Moms was.
Of course. So, like you said, it was we had a small group. It was we called it like our elite competition team. And I started on the show when I was 9 years old. We were all so young. We were like babies.
Yeah.
And this show was a pop culture phenomenon. It entails a dance studio from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, very small studio, kind of like in the middle of nowhere. And it shares the dynamic between the girls with their mothers, the mothers between the mothers, our relationship between our dance teacher, the dance teacher's relationship with the moms. And then every week we go to a dance competition with new routines every week. Sometimes we all have a group dance, but sometimes we have a solo, trio, duets on top of that as well. And then we compete and try to win every single week. So
I think people might hear like a new group routine every week and it might go over their head, but that's like so intense.
It's so intense because in the normal dance world, you learn a certain amount of dances, like maybe like 5-6 dances, and then you perform them like at a few competitions during the year. Yeah. Whereas we're literally learning a new dance every single week and competing every single week, which is not the norm. But we would spend hours at the dance studio. I mean, we filmed for like 60 hours a week.
And you're kids.
It's a lot of footage. And we're kids. And we're kids. We're not dancing the whole time, but
it's a job.
But it's a job. It's a job. And then after we were done filming, we would also have dance class after filming as well. So it was a lot of dancing. Totally. Stakes were always high. And
we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
One thing that is in your book is your mom, Dr. Holly, who's obviously a cast member on the show.
Right.
She goes, you know what, like when you're before the casting is solidified, she goes, Nia, like, I think we might just be like a little too boring for this show. Right. Like, I don't think they're going to take us. And then they do. What was it like at the beginning when you first started the show? What was that feeling like?
It was exciting.
Yeah.
It was really exciting. I have always loved like entertainment. I've always loved a stage, a camera. Like I like the glitz and glamour of it all, even at 9 years old. So the beginning just of filming was really exciting for me. And I was so ready for just like a new adventure. I was so optimistic about everything. Right. And at the beginning, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
One thing that's, I think, interesting about the show is the reason that I think it's so sticky and gripping and captivating were also the same reasons that it's controversial.
Right.
I think you write in your book, I pulled the quote because I thought it was really interesting. You said the production team struck gold with the cast. You could not find a more dysfunctional group of people.
Yes.
Abby screaming at the moms, Abby screaming at the kids, the moms screaming at each other. Can you elaborate on what that dynamic was like?
Yes. It's so funny. It really was like a train wreck. Like we were such a dysfunctional group of people before the show even started. So they really did strike gold with it. So yeah, the dynamic between Abby and the moms and even with us. So Abby she was a teacher that we masked it as tough love, but she was a very tough dance teacher and would say harsh and mean and cruel things to us. To critique our dancing. She would say things that were out of pocket, that were inappropriate sometimes. And then the moms would react, So Abby didn't really like most of the moms. So that dynamic with the moms and Abby was always kind of heated. Yeah. And it was always kind of interesting because, of course, they want the best for their daughters and they want their daughters to learn. But at the same time, there's a certain point where the line gets crossed,
Right.
and she goes into that territory a lot.
Well, let's dive into what she was like as a teacher, because there's really been a reckoning post the show about her teaching style. To give people a little more context, she would, and a lot of these clips have now been resurfaced through TikTok and social media. So people are really rewatching and, second guessing. Some of her most controversial lines are things like boring, yawning, sloppy, lazy. She would scream at these girls who were like, as we said, 6 to 13. Obviously you age as the show goes on. She would say, everyone is replaceable. Suck it up. I don't want to see tears.
Save your tears for the pillow.
Yeah, give us some other ones. I'm sure you had them like in the back, like the back of your hands.
Yeah, those are some of them. She was known for a lot of her tough sayings, like save your tears for the pillow, or
And what's interesting is like looking back, in some ways it was effective because you guys were amazing.
Yeah, we were like machines, really.
Literally machines. So like in some senses, okay, it's like this is working, but it's also arguably toxic.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Looking back on those moments, how do you make sense of that? Like the line between, okay, this was making us really amazing dancers, but also this is not how you talk to children.
Yes. I'm all for tough love.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I think that when stakes are high, when you're trying to be the best at something, it's good to have someone that pushes you to make you the best version of yourself and to get to that point.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is a line, and those boundaries do get crossed. Like she would say things about our bodies, critique the way we looked, the way we acted, the way it was everything.
Right.
But then not only that, but it was almost like nothing we ever did was good enough. And not everybody. There were certain people that were her favorites.
Yeah.
So there was also that component as well. So we were always fighting for that attention for her to see us as good enough, as worthy of earning a solo. But in my experience, I fell short of that a lot of the times. And not necessarily because I wasn't good enough, but because she put me in that box.
Right.
Yes. And it's an interesting dynamic because yes, she did train us and I learned a lot from her, but at the same time, there were some things that were extremely hurtful and very unnecessary, and actually didn't need to be said or done in order for me to be a better dancer.
This gets us to the title of your book, which is Bottom of the Pyramid. And basically what it alludes to is Abby's weekly ranking system.
Yes.
Where she would rank the girls from best to worst in the structure of a pyramid. And she always put you at the bottom.
Yes.
And on top of that, she would do sort of like a ceremony, I guess you could call it. Like revealing, where she would also berate you, in terms of what you didn't do well that week. And it wasn't just you. Like JoJo got a lot of this, but I think arguably like you got it the worst.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. Whenever I talk about like the book and like things being really bad, I try really hard not to say like so-and-so got it the worst, because here's the thing, we all have different experiences, and I'm not trying to do the oppression Olympics, because people love to do that and be like, well, this person had it worse. The whole thing was just a mess. So I try really hard not to say like I had it the worst, even though I had it pretty bad. Got it bad. But at the same time, I recognize that we all have our different experiences with it. But yeah, so I found myself at the bottom of the pyramid a lot of the time. Abby would say that I was a weak dancer, that I couldn't keep up with the team, that she didn't want me there.
Right.
And flat out would just say I wasn't good. I wasn't good. Now, these things were untrue.
Right.
But, at the time, she would reiterate it, and other cast members would reiterate it, and then millions of people looking in from the media and outside reiterated it, and then it just became my narrative. So that's part of the reason why I named it Bottom of the Pyramid, because that's what I was known for.
And I just want to underline, at the time you're 9. I sometimes will go, for example, into the comment section on my videos or like get feedback that's so mean. And as an adult, it hurts me so much.
Right.
I wish it didn't. And so I can't even fathom what that must have been like, because you're not just getting it from Abby.
Right.
You're getting it underhandedly from the other moms.
Yes.
You know, and the show was airing nationally, had millions of viewers. And it became popular at the same time that social media was becoming popular. So you're getting this from TV, from social media, from the moms. I mean, like, what was that like? Like, how did you even cope?
It was hard to cope with all of that because it's a lot of eyeballs on you, like all the time. I felt like I was in a fishbowl, you know? And yeah, we grew up in a time of social media, and it was like emerging, like Instagram and stuff. Like it was literally just starting out when the show started. So we didn't even know how to navigate that. No one did. So when you're in that space and it's so new, and then you're also on this reality show that's very new, never really been done with kids like this before. It was like a lot. It was a lot of pressure, and
And beyond that, I think something I got from the book, and you'll correct my characterization, is it's not like the production of the show was doing anyone any favors. One thing I learned was that you filmed every dance twice.
Yes.
You know, there was like the one purely for the competition and then the one for the show. And I think you write in the book, like, if I did an aerial perfectly in one and stumbled in the other, they would always take the one where you stumbled.
Yes.
How much do you feel like the production was playing into, you know, giving people either the worst take or emphasizing and cultivating drama in a way that wasn't natural?
Right. Well, I mean, honestly, they had a lot to work with. So, but I would say for when it comes to production, they would put us in certain situations to get a reaction out of us. They did play a role in that sometimes. And I that was something that I do wish they would have done. They spent so much time protecting Abby, where it's like, I wish they would have spent more time protecting me from her.
There were some other revelations in the book, like for that went just beyond her being mean. I mean, you know, you go for an audition at the Joffrey Ballet School, and she coaches you to do jazz moves, which makes no sense. You get linked up with a music producer, and you write in the book that she tries to bribe the music producer not to work with you. There's this moment where all the girls are getting headshots, and she says, "Don't spend too much time on Nia. She's not bookable." Like, why do you think she was so intent on sabotaging you?
It did feel like she always tried to set me up to lose. It felt that way. I think part of it is she just resented that I was there. She always reminded me that I was not wanted by her, that there were other people, girls at her dance studio that she would much rather have on the show than me. So it always bothered her that I was there. It bothered her that I looked different than the other girls. It did, and she vocalized that.
You write in the book that, I mean, I was really sad to read, that she would call you fat, say that your thighs and feet needed to be hidden. And she's doing this on national TV. You're also going through puberty.
Yes.
It's just like, I mean, do you think you would characterize her behavior? I mean, I think toxic is clear, but like abusive as well, emotionally abusive?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, yeah, for sure. Because, I mean, it's an abuse of power.
When I was watching the show, I'm a little bit older than you, but I was also a kid. So I think a lot of the elements that now I'm looking back, I'm like, oh my God, didn't necessarily clock for me at the time. And I was curious. I was like, how was the media covering this show at the time? So I went back and I tried to find some articles. And in preparation, I came across an Atlantic article from 2013. Here's what it said. Dance Moms, Lifetime's reality show about a mean woman torturing children, made its 3rd season debut last night and had the highest ratings in the show's history. So clearly it's like people were looking in and they could see what was happening. There was another one I pulled in 2012. Vulture wrote, the show is a portrait of and a tribute to emotional and psychological abuse. In 2013, The Guardian ran a piece titled, Dance Moms, awful but addictive. Why do you think so many Americans tuned into a show and were so enthralled by a show that sort of centered around this woman being mean to kids? Like, how do you even make sense of that?
Probably because it is so unlike anything anyone has really seen. But at the same time, very relatable. in a lot of ways. I get this a lot whenever I meet other dancers.
Yeah.
They're like, I had a dance teacher similar to her, or like similar dance experience where it's like so much pressure. So I think a lot of people, even if they're not a dancer, if they're in sports, like they can relate to some degree.
Yeah.
I think that us being kids was definitely a draw as well, because a lot of, I mean, Lifetime isn't necessarily like a kid network, but there were children like watching all the time.
It was sort of like, I mean, there was toddlers and tiaras too, but like these shows were reality TV shows about kids and for kids.
Exactly.
But and parents too. I mean,
right. But it wasn't necessarily a kid's show too, though.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, but that's why I think it just draws another thing that people have told me recently.
Yeah.
They're like, I know that this sounds crazy, but it's my comfort show. People find a lot of comfort in it.
So I came across a critique about this. This is also from like 2013, 2012. And the writer, this is also in Vulture, said that it was sort of like cultural schadenfreude.
Okay.
Basically this idea that viewers take pleasure or relief in like watching the pain of someone else because it makes them feel better
about
their own situation.
Okay.
And so they're like, okay, like this isn't going well in my life, but
at least it's not bad.
Yeah, like at least I didn't forget my solo on stage. And like, because I mean, so much of the show is watching these girls who, obviously you're one of them. Like the goal was perfection.
Right, that was the goal, for sure.
That's what Abby demanded. She demanded,
to be number one.
To be number one, and I read this somewhere, she was like, she demanded perfection from the girls and control over the moms.
Yes.
And it is like watching, like you said earlier, a train wreck. When someone forgets their solo on stage, starts sobbing.
Yes.
Runs off stage. Abby's livid. There's like all this drama.
Yes.
Then there's the confessional, like, oh, she shouldn't have had a solo in the first place. Like,
right.
And it's just like, it was so high stakes. But looking back, do you feel like it wasn't actually like you were like,
oh, absolutely.
It was,
we were like literally in Ohio, like in the middle of nowhere in Ohio. And we were bawling about like a headpiece falling off.
What was
on
that
stage.
line when Abby says, I was doing a show and someone got their hand severed?
I talk about that all the time. And I tell people like, no, she actually told us that. Yeah. And as children, we took them, we were like, oh my gosh, I guess we do need to be like in the right spot at the right time. But
yeah,
because she was like, oh, their hand got cut off and they kept dancing.
I think this is a part of it too, because like it was so not funny, but it was also in a way like camp.
Yes.
Because her behavior was so ridiculous.
Yeah. It was almost like unbelievable, because a lot of people think that, oh, well, it has to be scripted, like it has to be super like heavily produced because people don't act this way.
One other thing that I think people felt really like captivated by in the show was that Abby would create these dances and the themes were often very provocative.
Yes.
She had one about child abduction,
right?
One about immigration, one about plastic surgery, one about drinking and driving. Again, you guys are like 10. There was even one titled Diary of Anne Frank.
Right.
And which, I thought was a little bizarre, acrobatic solo about the Holocaust, but putting that aside, do you understand what she was trying to do artistically? Do you think it was cringy? Like, how do you understand that like you were a group of 10 girls and you're like, okay, let's depict a drunk driving crash? I know it's like comical in a way because it's so
and
crazy.
like we were 10. Like we can't even drive. Yeah. I think the intention was to shock people, like a shock value, and to show range, maybe. Although very controversial dances and very out there, we did a pretty good job with them, given that we were children and trying to, But yes, looking back, it's like, okay, that was weird.
It did lead to like one of my favorite moments from the show when one of the moms goes, who is Anne Frank? And your mom goes, my middle schoolers know who Anne Frank is. And then she chimes back, or like, it's like going between the different confessionals. The other mom, not your mom, goes, I don't know much about Anne Frank, but I don't think she was doing cartwheels.
Right. That's a funny line.
It is a funny line because it's so like, everything about it was so ridiculous.
Yes.
But that's also why people love the show.
And yes, because it was just so ridiculous all the time. Yeah. And like you said, I think campy is like the perfect word.
Yeah.
It really was.
I think a lot of people's fascination with this also revolves around, it sort of holds a mirror up to American culture in the sense of it reflects values like ambition, grit, resilience.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time the show was coming out, we're starting, it was early in its infancy, but this idea of like gentle parenting. And then you're also getting the show where she's screaming at you guys. I mean, what is your perspective on that today? Because now we're like in a society where gentle parenting is all the rave. And you had such an extremely opposite experience. What is the middle ground?
I don't think there's anything wrong with like a little grit, a little like seeing a little bit of like the real world, how it works. I think there's something to be said for having a challenge, like being challenged and overcoming that challenge. That's part of life. What's like the saying, like a blessing of like a scraped knee, But at the same time, I think there's just a certain limit. Like there has to be a point where it's like that's not when it's has to do with start critiquing like the way you look and things that you actually cannot change. And
let's go there because I think like the unspoken thing so far is that you were the only Black dancer on the team. And you describe a variety of moments that I think ranged from either racially insensitive to outright racism that you experienced on the show.
Some of the things that I experienced on the show was like, I got, anytime I had a solo or like a special role in a group dance, it often had to do with race. And sometimes it could be anything from me having to wear an Afro wig and wear cheetah print or animal print.
And notably, the title of that solo she gave you was They Call Me Laquifa.
Exactly. Like the whole thing is just kind of, it's inappropriate and also it's very stereotypical.
And to give it a little more context, like some of these moments, they weren't one-offs. Like I jotted down, one of the first solos you have is titled Natty of the Jungle, about a child raised by monkeys. Waka Waka to the World Cup song set in South Africa. And then They Call Me Laquifa. Like when you were a kid, did you understand like the problematic nature of this? Or you were kind of just like, I mean, you were so young at the time.
I was so young, but like I knew that things weren't quite right. Even if I couldn't like place it or articulate what it really was, I knew that it wasn't necessarily great.
Right.
But at the same time, I just love to dance. I just love to dance.
What was your mom saying to you at the time when you're getting these solos that are kind of like eyebrow raising in terms of like the nature of their theme and
well, she would always speak up and say something, whether they showed that on the show or not. She always spoke up and voiced her concerns. Like even with like the Natty of the Jungle solo, like she did say something to her and I write about it in the book and she was like, no, it's fine. Like it's like Tarzan, and for me, I know that had to be hard for her.
Right.
Because she sees me, I'm so excited. I get a special role. I get a solo that I've been working on getting for so long. I finally get it.
Yeah.
And my mom is like, this isn't okay. Like she didn't have the heart to like say, hey, like no, after I worked so hard to get a special thing. So
it was a difficult position she was in.
It was a difficult position.
And to add on, I mean, something that's clear in the show is if the moms confront Abby, she takes it out on the kids.
She does. Right. Like she doesn't have to be censored, but like if someone else says something, she'll take it out on us. And it's not fair. It's not fair.
And beyond just like the solos you write about in the book, other moments that I thought were, because I think they cut a lot of this out of the show, so people don't really realize. But Abby asking you things like, do you wish you had white girl hair? One time she wanted to do a dance that had like a wet hair look. And obviously, you and Holly were like, that's not gonna be possible.
Right.
And I think she said, you're limiting my artistic freedom.
Right.
You write about how one time you wore braids and she told you look awful, saying it's like a log coming out of the side of your head. Like, it's just so bad. And
it's so bad.
Like there's no other, and what would you even say to the production who's watching this happening, watch you at your expense, at your mom's expense, and they're just letting it happen?
Honestly, I mean, I know it's their job at the end of the day to get a good, to get a good story, to get a good line out, but I just wish they would have been a little bit more considerate. And I wish that they they would have told her, like, you know, like had her at least like apologize or do something, you know, honestly do anything. Take any accountability.
Did anyone at the time, either other moms, anyone in the production say like, hey, this is really wrong?
No.
No one said.
Not really. I think when things got really heated, there were moments where like the production would check in on the girls and make sure that we were okay. You know, I'm not saying like they just didn't, you know, it was okay where in the sense where they would every now and then, like if something in the studio had, like if Abby said something that was like really like upsetting, and we would leave the room, you know, sometimes a producer will come over and be like, hey, are you okay? But then at the same time, I'm going to be like, yeah, but then I'm just going to go in the bathroom and cry and pretend that but because if I tell them I'm not okay, they're going to bring cameras over. It's a whole thing. So
it's like you couldn't be honest with them.
No.
It's like they were like spies.
No, kinda, yeah. I write about that in the book. Like, you know, you even had to be careful. Like if you're upset but you don't want to be filmed crying, like you would go in the bathroom, but you have to be careful because if someone heard you in the bathroom, you would come out the bathroom, there's cameras like right in your face. Yeah. So
and you're like 10.
Yeah. So you're just kind of like walking on eggshells. So it's like, okay, that happened. And for me, and we were taught that was another one of save your tears for pillow. We weren't really allowed to cry. Like showing any emotion was like really.
And yet there was a lot of tears in the show.
A lot of tears.
Yes. The moms also.
Yeah. But that was like another thing. Like I suppressed so many emotions, especially tears, because I was told that it was bad. So imagine, you know, production trying to get tears from these girls.
It's competing incentives.
Exactly.
Abby's like, don't cry. They're like, this would be good
TV
gold.
Yes. So it's hard. It's really hard.
I want to talk about this also because, you know, Abby was also, you know, referring to you as sort of the weak link. And this this was like a really hard part also to read in the book as it translated into your life socially.
Yes.
And you write about how you just like desperately wanted to be friends with everyone and they would exclude you. And especially in the age of social media, you know, they'd say, oh, we're not doing anything tonight. And then you would be like, okay. And you would kind of go do your own thing. And then you would see on social media, oh no, they are actually doing something.
Right.
And they went out of their way to exclude you. It was just so hard to read. And, you know, have any of the girls apologized to you?
Some of them have.
Some of them have.
Some of them have, yeah.
Who has apologized?
Honestly, I can't even remember. I'm being so honest. I know, like, even like earlier this week, like Chloe and I had a heart-to-heart. And we're, you know. And she wrote the foreword. Yeah. Because also it's like, we were children.
Well, that's the other thing too, is it's like,
controlled by
the moms and
a crazy dance teacher.
Right.
Like, we didn't have, you know, because I write about that, and that was like one of the hardest parts to write, because I never want to make those girls look bad, because it wasn't, I'm not mad at them or anything, but that is how I felt at the time. And that is a huge part of my story, because I felt sometimes lonely. I felt so lonely, especially when you're working with these people every day.
And they're excluding you.
And they're excluding you. But I also know at the same time, like, they're not the ones who had the car. They're not the one, you know, like, they're children. They're children, and they're being controlled by the adults.
I think it's a really important point. I think it was incumbent on the parents.
Yes.
Like, the parents owe you the apology. I mean, also.
Yeah.
You know, if
like,
I
don't take it too personally with the girls, because
they were kids.
They were kids. Yeah.
You were the longest running cast member. It's sort of like a funny irony, because you write about and talk about how Abby so desperately didn't want you on the show.
I know. I was going to stick it out to the end.
And she got you the longest.
Yes.
You know, like.
That was intentional.
There you go. Other originals, you know, Paige, Brooke, and Chloe left around season 4. Maddie and Mackenzie left in season 6. You stayed the longest. And probably the biggest critique is that, not just, you know, of all the moms, is they say, why didn't the moms pull the kids out sooner?
Right.
And, you know, the allegation is like some form of complicity in what was happening. What do you say to that?
I have a lot to say to that.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So my thing, when people call my mom a bad mom for leaving me in that environment, I cannot speak for the other girls. So this is just coming from me. Like, I wanted to be there. I wanted to be there.
Tell us why, because I think a lot of people would hear everything we've been talking
and
about.
They're like, and you still wanted to stay? I know.
Explain that.
Yeah. It seems kind of weird and almost twisted, but it really, it's honestly kind of simple because there's just like a lot of layers to it.
Yeah.
One, I wasn't going to let anyone bully me out of an opportunity.
Yeah.
I saw the opportunity. Even at 9 years, I'm like, oh my gosh, a TV show? That's incredible. That's unheard of. Something like that. Unheard of in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You know, just so random. How else would I be able to get into this industry? Like, my parents have very normal jobs. They're not into this at all. Like, this is very cool.
Holly's a principal.
My mom's a principal.
Your dad was in nonprofit space.
Yes, exactly. Right. Like, they are not in that world at all. Right. So I saw it. I saw the opportunity. I was like, I'm going to take this opportunity. Have no idea what it's going to be, but I'm going to take it. So that's one. And then also because I knew Abby didn't want me there, it kind of just made me want to stay more. Which maybe that's a little petty of me.
No, but it's interesting. Like, where do you think that aspect of, wanting to prove her wrong and also just wanting to prove it to yourself, like, where do you think that comes from? That's a learned trait, or?
Well, I've always had that. I come from like a family of people who are very successful, have done so much, like are very driven, who have fought for things, like my grandmother was like literally in the civil rights movement. Like I come from a family of champions and people who have done so much. They've all faced challenges. And for me, so like that, I'm not scared of a challenge. I'm not scared of that. So when we're talking about like, why did you stay? Well, because I deserve to be there like everyone else. Because of someone else's bad behavior. I have to leave this cool opportunity? No, that's not fair. That's not how it works. And yes, like I'm still gonna have to go through it, but I also know the situation, kind of. And I think it always just kept me going. Like knowing that someone wanted to see me fail just made me want to show that I'm not going to.
And what were your parents saying around this time? Like, were there moments where they were like, I don't know, Nia, like maybe we should?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents, here's the thing. We had contracts. People always forget. I'm like, we literally had contracts. They're very hard to break.
But the other girls broke them.
They broke them, but I don't know how they broke them. Okay? So yes, they broke them. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's other stuff that comes with breaking a contract. I also didn't want to be known as hard to work with because I want to have a long career in this space.
Right.
And if you break a contract like that, it's...
And one, just to go like a beat deeper on this, is the contract was bad, as you wrote.
Yes,
like
it also was not a good contract. People are kind of under this impression that we had to re-sign every season. It did not work that way.
It was a 7-year contract.
It was a 7-year contract.
And
season contract.
More than that, the environment is pretty brutal, as we're talking about, but you weren't really making that much money.
No, I was not there for the money.
I think this is a misconception for people because like maybe some people are like, oh, like they're making a lot of money from this reality TV show that was, I think I read Lifetime was in like the top 7, or it was like 17th network. And then by the time Dance Moms, sort of peaked or became very popular, it was in top 10. So like clearly the network was making a ton of money off of the show. And what were you making? Like $1,000 a week or something?
It got better throughout, but like not that much better.
And you didn't get residuals.
And we don't get residuals. No residuals.
Yeah. So you really wanted to stay.
Yeah, right. Exactly. but my point was like my parents, like they are there for me. Yeah. And every season, the thing is, if I wanted to leave, and even if it was a hard contract, they would do anything. And I mean anything to get me out of that contract.
You write in the book, Mom recently shared with me that she used to cry a lot when we were on the show. She told me how hard it was for her to see me get hurt over and over again. So obviously, like, it's difficult on you, but difficult on the family.
Oh my gosh, yes. Definitely difficult on the family.
If you could go back in time to 2011, do you think you would sign up to do the show again?
Now knowing everything? I don't know. I don't know if I would do it again.
Yeah.
Mostly because like, yes, like everything that happened on the show, but more than anything, I feel bad for taking my mom away from my brothers. Like that would be more of the reason than like Abby. I'm like, and that's my other point. There's going to be like a million Abby type of people. There's so many people like her out there in the world. That is just how the world works. There's going to be people. And like at some point, you can't let them dictate your life.
Yeah.
And that was my other point. You just, you can't.
You know, there's an interesting pivot in the book where I forget Abby's like criticizing you about something. And you write that in that instance, you sort of thought to yourself, nothing she could say to me now was any worse than anything she'd already said to me over the years. I brushed her comments off. It's a pivot, you know?
Because you become numb.
How did you get to that point where it was just like, whatever, Abby, like, you don't have as much power? Or maybe she still did. I mean, I'm curious about how you reflect on that stage towards the end of the show.
Yeah. Well, I think by the end of the show, like, I had heard everything she has had to say about me. So there's really not much left to say. So it's just reiterating things over and over and over again. It's like, okay, like, you can't, like.
Do you think it was more that you were like, her words don't have as much impact on me?
Yeah, it was more just that. Her words just at a certain point.
But it takes a lot to get there.
It takes a lot to get there. But it's weird because at the same time, yes, it didn't have, like, I didn't feel it as much because I was so used to it. But then also, after the fact too, it's a little bit of both. Because I felt that way.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just like me putting up a shield. But then still later on, I would still feel the impact.
The internalization.
Yeah, the internalization. Because you start thinking later and, you know. But for the most part, I was able to brush a lot of stuff off because I just developed a thick skin.
Yeah.
And I knew that she was just trying to get a reaction out of me in certain situations. So I'm like, I'm not going to give her the satisfaction of that.
You also write in the book, although I do not go to church every Sunday, I am religious. And I always knew every opportunity, every blessing was because of God. I also knew that when I was being tested and was at my lowest, He would make a way for me to see things through. He had a bigger plan for me. Can you take us a little bit deeper on how your faith also got you through?
Yeah, for sure.
The 7 seasons.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like my mom and I would pray all the time. So growing up, I feel like I always knew that God had a path for me, you know, like when I knew when things got tough, that because I had faith, it was always going to work out. I knew that He put me in that situation because He knew that I could get through it. He knew that I had the strength to get through it, and we asked for strength all the time. So, faith definitely played a huge part, just a lot of prayer and knowing that like God's got me all the time. Even if I feel like things are going insane and things are kind of really bad, I always knew that things would work out.
At 9 also.
Yeah, and I do think having faith is the reason why I got through the show. Yes, like having faith absolutely helped me get through the show. It'd be hard without it.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think without it you would have?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think a show like Dance Moms could exist today?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
We've obviously been talking about, you know, a lot of the negatives. But now, you know, you've been out of the show for 7-8 years?
Yes.
Looking back, what do you think are like the biggest lessons and like positive takeaways from doing the show, if any?
Well, I learned how to have a really good work ethic. You know, I'm a really hard worker. I feel like, you know, I know how to be professional. I know, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Even if it was difficult, like, yes, I learned how to work with different personalities. I learned how to work with difficult people. But also takeaways that I have, like, I got to see so much of the world through the show. It brought me out to LA. It brought me, although it was hard, it did give me opportunities, which I'm grateful for, which there were opportunities that I wouldn't have been able to get if I hadn't been on a TV show, you know? So I'm always grateful for it. And it's I do think that people sometimes think that just like, because I wrote the book, I'm not grateful for the show. I'm like, I'm bashing it. I'm like, it's not even that. Like, I think we can just look at the show and see it now and like, let's just do better.
Right.
Like, I see it from that place because I don't like to bring that negativity with me. I don't want to dwell on it, but I do deserve to tell my story.
It was your experience.
It was my experience, and I never talked about it.
Right.
I never talked about it. And now that I am, it's very freeing. I feel like I can finally kind of move on with my life because I've addressed it.
Right.
And I'm owning it. I'm owning this experience. But at the end of the day, I've always been this way, but like taking the high road. Like, okay, this happened. Let's not let that like define who I am. And let's turn like this negative experience into a positive one. So although, yes, the book is sad and it's a hard read sometimes, I think the underlying message of hope is there, and it's definitely shows through. Because I don't want a sob story. I don't want to just sit here and cry. I want to share my experience, and I want things to be better.
Have any of the other girls reached out to you since the book has come out?
Well, obviously Chloe. And yeah, a couple of them. Brooke texted me the other day, which was really sweet.
When was the last time you spoke to Abby? And has she said anything to you about the book?
Oh, no. Okay. I don't have any contact with her.
You write in the book that, you know, you tried to reach out to her when she was in the hospital with cancer. And what did she say to you?
She was like, no. She always is saying that I owe her money for some reason. And she did not want to see me. She did not want to see me. And that's okay. You know, after that, I was like, I don't want to see you either. Yeah. And that's okay.
Did she ever apologize to you at any point for anything she had done? No.
No.
Do you forgive her?
I don't think I forgive her. Okay. I just like...
Do you want to?
Know. Not necessarily. No. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I'm also like, I'm not waiting here for an apology. Like, Do
you have closure?
I have closure.
Okay.
I do. I honestly just want nothing really to do with her. Yeah. Like, she really just does not exist in my world.
Well, since Dance Moms, you've launched a music and an acting career.
Yes.
You have 15 million followers across
like everything. Yeah.
You went to UCLA for college.
Yes, I did.
You became a political activist. You met President Joe Biden. What's next? A lot.
And you wrote a book. I didn't even say that. Yeah, and I wrote a book. So much is next. I have the whole world in front of me.
What are you most excited for?
I'm excited to get back into acting. Okay. I'm really excited about that because I took a lot of time off just from like performing in general because of school. Yeah. Because I wanted to focus on my education, and I'm so happy I did. Because it was a great experience. Now that I'm done with, I graduated college, and now that I finally have this book released, because this was like 3 years in the making, I can finally focus on performing again. I feel like I'm in a much better place.
Any dance in the future?
Yes, I mean, I still dance.
Good.
More just for fun now, but I will dance. If someone asks me to dance, I can. But yeah, dance is gonna follow me with everything. I'm a dancer first. That's who I am at the heart. So it's gonna be with me for the rest of my life.
Well, Nia Sioux, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.